Here is the recap of the TV series of Eyes of Wakanda. In 1260 BC, Wakanda was already a fairly advanced civilization, thanks to artifacts created from vibranium. Its warriors were known for their fearlessness, strength, and loyalty, but there were exceptions. One day, Akea, one of Wakanda's leaders, calls Noni, a former warrior from Dora Milaje, to her. Dora Milaje is a kind of special forces unit in their country. Noni was expelled for not following the orders of her commanders and acting differently from the others. Akea tells Noni that she has a secret mission for her. It turns out that some time ago, Nkati, the captain of the royal guard, escaped from Wakanda and took powerful artifacts with him. Thanks to these relics and his skills, he gathered a powerful army around him. After that, he began to conquer other countries under the pseudonym Lion. This is a great threat to both Wakanda and the rest of the world. Noni's task is to eliminate the fugitive and return the artifacts. Noni does not understand why she was chosen, since she no longer serves in Dora Milaje. The fact is that it is precisely because of her character that she will be able to get close to the Lion unnoticed. Noni is skeptical at first, but eventually agrees. 6 weeks later, unknown ships attack a small state calling itself the People of the Sea. The mighty warriors from the Pride of the Lion easily defeat the guards and take ordinary citizens captive, including Noni, who slipped in unnoticed. The soldiers give the people a choice: either swear allegiance to their new master lion, or die. At first, the captives hesitate, but they are made to understand that the invaders are not joking. Noni cannot stand aside and stands up for the defenseless. Soon, she changes into the enemy's uniform and sneaks behind enemy lines, but she is noticed by Lions' elite warriors. However, after a short battle, she defeats them all. In the end, Noni reaches Lion, who does not want to fight her. On the contrary, he tries to convince her to join him. Previously, he unquestioningly obeyed Wakanda and served in a secret unit called the War Dogs. But when he began to be sent out into the outside world on various secret missions, he began to doubt whether he was truly loyal to his homeland. The thing is, even noble people like the Wakandans have skeletons in their closet. So Lion decided to run away and create his own country, one that would be free of all this hypocrisy. Noni notices that his state is not as perfect as he imagines it to be. To which Lion replies that sacrifices are necessary to build a perfect world. Noni disagrees with this and eventually defeats Lion. But he was ready for this and blows up his ship with all the artifacts. Noni miraculously manages to escape and returns to Wakanda. Akea thanks Noni for her service and wants to reinstate her in the ranks of Dora Milaje. But she refuses and asks to be made one of the War Dogs, special agents who carry out missions outside Wakanda. After that, Noni learns that this was Akea's original plan. The events of this episode unfold during Greece's attack on Troy. Odysseus has been sieging the city for many years, but cannot break through its defenses. In the end, he decides to act more cunningly. He sends Achilles to sneak behind the city walls and open the gates. The man takes with him the best warriors of Greece, including his friend Memnon, with whom he has fought for many years. However, it turns out that Memnon is actually a secret agent of Wakanda from the War Dog Squad, whose task is to retrieve an artifact that was stolen from their country some time ago and is now in the hands of the rulers of Troy. Meanwhile, Achilles and his warriors manage to climb the walls, but they are spotted and the main characters are forced to retreat. At night, Achilles and Memnon chat by the fire and reflect on honor, valor, and the legends that will remain after this battle. Other soldiers show up and accuse Memnon of treason, thinking he's a Trojan spy since he's not from Greece and not much is known about his past. And the soldiers believe that this is precisely why they failed to complete today's task. However, Achilles convinces them otherwise, assuring them that Memnon is their loyal comrade who has saved them all many times. Odysseus comes to the scene of the argument and says that today's defeat is actually to their advantage, as he has come up with a plan to outwit the Trojans and win this long-running war. The Greeks build a huge statue of a horse to give to Troy as a farewell gift, while pretending to leave the battlefield. But before that, they place their best fighters inside the horse, including Achilles and Memnon. The Trojans do not notice the trick and bring the horse inside the walls of their city. At night, the Greeks come out and open the gates for the main troops. The battle begins, and Achilles notices that Memnon has disappeared somewhere. He follows him and finds him in the chambers of the rulers of Troy. Achilles thinks that his friend was indeed a spy and attacks him. As a result, Memnon has to kill Achilles. The man takes the stolen artifact and returns to Wakanda. There he meets Noni, who has already become the leader of the war dogs. They reflect on the fact that Wakandans who have lived in the outside world for a long time are no longer able to exist in their homeland. Therefore, Memnon asks to be sent on another mission. We are transported back to the year 1400 AD. Basha, an agent of the war dogs, is tasked with retrieving a piece of vibranium that was stolen long ago. This piece is located in an ancient dragon statue in the mysterious city of Kun Lun, somewhere in the mountains of China. Basha has been traveling around the world for a long time in search of information about this city, and when he received a clue, he went to the mountains. He got caught in a storm and thought he was going to die, but a woman named Jorani saved him. She nursed him back to health, and he lived with her for a while. Eventually, Basha finds out where the piece of vibranium he is looking for is located. He waits until Jorani falls asleep and goes to the temple. He is unable to remove the piece from the statue, so Basha takes the whole thing. The guards chase after him, but he manages to escape. He gets into his flying machine and heads for Wakanda. Upon arrival, Bash reports to his superior officer, Ebo, that the mission has been completed. However, Ebo reprimands him for not checking for a tail and for taking a piece of vibranium together with a statue from another civilization, which is prohibited by their rules. Advisor Rakim is dissatisfied with Bash's irresponsible behavior and tries to find out exactly what happened during the mission. However, at that moment, Bash is informed that the technician responsible for inspecting his plane is not responding. Bash realizes that an intruder could have gotten in when he flew out of Kun Lun, but he doesn't tell anyone, hoping to figure it out on his own. Bash was right, because Iron Fist, Kun Lun's defender, flew in with him to retrieve the stolen statue. Meanwhile, Bash meets Ebo and persuades him to help him resolve the situation. The guards already know that there is an intruder at the base, and they will blame the two of them. Therefore, they decide to catch the enemy themselves. As a result, Basha finds Iron Fist and removes his mask, after which he realizes that it is Jorani, the very woman who saved him in the mountains. It turns out that she guessed that he was a spy and followed him when he stole the statue. A fight ensues, which moves to the artifact storage room. Basha uses the artifacts to match Iron Fist's strength, but the woman proves to be stronger. Jorani approaches the statue, takes out a piece of vibranium, and gives it to Basha, as she only needed the statue itself. To settle everything, Basha and Ebo come up with a story. It is as if there was no enemy, and it was all made up by a superior officer to test the guards' readiness for such attacks. The leadership buys into this story, after which the main characters help Jorani leave unnoticed. In 1896, Prince Tafari is entrusted with the mission of stealing a long-lost vibranium pickaxe. The young man and his teacher Kuda set off for Ethiopia, where war was raging at the time. Tafari does all this to glorify himself, but Kuda tells him that the missions of the war dogs are secret, and no one will know about his heroic deeds. In the end, they manage to steal the relic unnoticed, but on the way back, they are attacked by a Black Panther. The main characters do not know who she is and fight her, but she tells them that she has no time to argue with them. She informs them that she has come here from the future. In 500 years, aliens called the Horde will attack Earth. Humanity fought them and lost. All because Wakanda decided not to get involved. But by the time they changed their minds, it was too late. The best minds in their country created a time machine to bring her here and change the past. She discovered that if she didn't return this pickaxe to her homeland, the future king of Wakanda would change his policy and start cooperating with other countries. This would set off a chain of events that would save humanity from the Horde. Black Panther's time suddenly runs out, and she returns. Just then, aliens attack their base, and she fights alongside the remaining guards in the final battle. Meanwhile, Kuda and Tafari argue about whether they can trust Black Panther from the future, and eventually come to the conclusion that the possible salvation of humanity is far more important than completing the mission. After that, they return the pickaxe to where they took it from. Back in Wakanda, Tafari reports to the Queen about the failure of the mission and takes full responsibility, earning the respect of his teacher. We are transported back to the present, where Killmonger is about to steal the pickaxe from the museum, as shown in the movie Black Panther. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the like button. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.